April just said it's go time. I think that means we're live. Anybody hear me out there? Right on, right on, right on. Okay, so welcome back to Steve Small Engine Saloon Q&A. We are going to answer as many questions as you have. We'll keep going as long as we can. At least, I can tell you, at least an hour. Thank you. See, that's why I have... Is that better, April? I know Mix is laughing at me right now, saying, what an amateur. Excellent. April, is that better? No? All right. No. Okay. That one's gone. Now it should be good. I tried something a little new here, and obviously it didn't work. We were getting feedback there, so sorry about that, guys. Give me 1 second. You're still feedback. I got nothing else turned on. I don't know why. This is an issue. Are you guys hearing feedback right now when I talk? Yeah, Mick, you say it's all good? Hey, April, it's you, I think. No? Mick says it sounds good. Mute yours. All right. Technical difficulty. I'm sorry, everybody. Well, let's carry on here. We got 214 people watching right now. I will say right now that I know that a lot of you don't like it when I have somebody else on the panel, but here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have one person on the panel right now, and this is one of the smartest small engine guys I have ever met in my life. The reason I'm bringing him up is because this is going to double your chances of getting your question answered. Contrary to popular belief, I don't know the answer to every question out there. So here we go. Please help me welcome Steve Small Engine Saloon, Mr. Kenny from Ken's Small Engine Repair.
Boy, you're really lying now. Holy cow. I don't even get an intro like this from my wife. Holy crap. Anyway.
Hey, this is cool, Kenny. Thank you for being here, bro.
No problem, pal. Anything. Like I said, correct answers may take a little longer. So, but we got a lot of great guys in the chat. So yep. I'm sure everybody will help.
Yep. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. On that note right there, there are a lot of small engine mechanics in the chat right now. So when we're answering questions, feel free to chime in that chat section and throw your own answer out there too. That would be awesome. I love it if you do that. Also, before we get going here, I do have to thank the moderators. There's some moderators on here. Mix Mowers is a moderator, and that's his YouTube channel's name is Mix Mowers. So check him out on YouTube when you get a chance. Also, obviously, Ken Small Engines, Ken Small Engine Repair. That's the name of your channel, right, Ken?
Yep.
Okay. I think April might run some links here for you guys too. And Hayes Machinery, James Hayes is here. He's going to be a moderator today too. And that is his YouTube channel's name is Hayes Machinery. Check him out too. Very entertaining.
It's funny. Rob Lambert, who was here last week, who asked about the amplifier that April found. I do have an answer for you, Rob. So we'll get into that shortly.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good note there too, Ken. If you see some questions slip by me, and just cut me off. If you see a question there and I miss it, just cut me off and just give her, man.
No worries.
Okay.
Well, why don't we start with Rob? Why don't we start Rob Lambert? Because that was from last week.
Okay, go.
I spent a little bit of time on that. Rob, I looked that up. April had the link, actually. She found one on eBay. It was like $6 or $7. And generally, you see those little amplifiers on generators. And basically, it's part of the oil sentry system. And basically, it doesn't allow current one way or the other. There's a diode in there. And basically, there's a timer in it where the timer, after, say, 3 to 5 seconds, if it doesn't sense a signal, it kills the ignition. This way you won't blow your engine. But that's the answer to what that amplifier is on a generator. You see it more on generators than you do on other engines. I'm trying to get a hold of James Condon, who is Mr. Generator Guru. Give us a little more of the technical explanation, but it involves diodes and current not going one way or the other, so it can kill the engine or not kill it when there's no oil sensed in the switch. So you have the switch, but then the switch goes through that amplifier or sensor box, if you will, and then it goes to the coil. So hopefully that answers your question.
Hopefully he's here in the chat actually listening to that, or he could watch it back too, I guess.
Yeah, no, he chimed in. That's why I said.
Perfect. I'm see. There you go. I missed that one. Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note too, I have to bring this up again. I hate bringing this up, but people get really upset if I don't bring this up. There are going to be some people who super chat a question, and
there you go. There you go.
See, exactly. So when that happens, if you guys don't super chat and you have a question, we are not going to ignore you. I want to make that very clear. We're not only answering super chat questions, but people are going to literally pay money for the answer. We do have to take care of those guys first. So don't be offended by that, but that's just how it has to be. I mean, how would you feel if you pay?
Steve, what do you want to do about ground rules? 2 emoji, 3 emoji? Do you have anything? No caps?
We're you know what? Use your own discretion on that one. If it's clearly spamming, then pound them.
Yeah, we generally say all caps if it's part of your channel, but otherwise it's considered shouting by YouTube. But other than that, 2 emoji max is what most people use. So, feel free.
Yeah. And I don't mind if somebody puts LOL in all capital letters, things like that. I don't mind at all. But if you're clearly spamming, then one of the moderators is going to hit you. So I haven't even read that one yet. Johnny Holmgren for some wobbly pops. Oh, nice. Best wishes from Sweden. Cheers. Thanks, Sweden.
Now that's what, Swiss kroner? Is that it? Kroner?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think it's kroner.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ooh, I see our favorite Long Island couple is on.
I just saw that burn by too. Where are they at?
Cates. Hopefully the hurricane didn't hit you too hard. We're getting really nothing here but some rain. We thought we were going to get tons of 80-mile-an-hour winds. We're just getting a lot of rain.
Yeah. So anybody got any questions for us?
Thomas,
there's probably been questions, but okay, perfect. There's one.
Oh, there's Rob.
Mike F. Question. How do you feel about the plastic carbs on some of the Craftsman square engine lawnmowers, and how do you fix them? Plastic carbs. Now there's 2 plastic carbs. There are the newer style plastic carbs, and there are the old 3.5 horsepower Briggs engines that have a plastic carb that's stuck right onto the top of the tank. And they're both plastic. They're both square. Well, square-ish.
I think he means the newer one that we all know and
I think that's probably what he's talking about too. So, Ken, there you go. What do you think of those?
Well, I would say first check out Steve's videos. He's got a lot of videos on those carburetors, especially on how to make them stop hunting and stuff like that. We don't really hate the carburetors per se, but as Mick has said in his stream, a lot of times if you've had trouble, you've tried drilling out the main jet or you've tried changing that main jet. For the price of them, it's worth it. Just get another one because they're not that expensive. The problem we see a lot with those, the ring in the back, the O-ring sealing and stuff like that, people don't look at the linkage when they take it apart, stuff like that. They put it back together backwards. And Steve, in one of your videos, you actually had where that internal sleeve for the Venturi, if they don't put it in right, you can't open the butterfly all the way. So you got to be careful, but check out Steve's videos. I don't know if April wants to post them, but I know you've got some, 3-4 great videos on those plastic Briggs carbs.
On those exact ones. Yeah, too. Yeah. Hey, on that note also, Kenny, if you have any videos, feel free to promote yourself. I'm good with that. If you got a video on that, hey, tell people.
Yeah, I don't know if I do, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
just usually fix them, yell and scream about them, and then get them running.
There you go, Rob. Hey, there you go, Kenny.
Cheers, Rob.
Rob Lambert. He appreciates your help on that.
Yeah, I hope it helped you out, Rob.
Yeah, cool.
Let's see what else we got.
As far well, back to Mikey F there. How do I feel about those things? I don't know why so many people have problems with those. I have no problems with those plastic carburetors. They're the simplest, easiest carburetor. They don't rust. They work. For me, it's, I don't know.
I have more problems with the little like nipple filter on the end of the gas tank that feeds them on some of those engines.
Yeah.
Where those clog up or kink, where you don't get enough fuel flow.
Yeah.
You know, check to make sure before you start tearing it apart. Do you have enough fuel flow? Are you really getting that flow?
And unfortunately, on some of those lawnmowers too, the fuel line from the tank to the carb is like maybe 3 inches long.
Yeah.
Right. And they're hard to pull off.
Oh,
and a lot of people say, oh, just put an inline filter in there. You know how hard it is to get an inline filter in a 3-inch fuel line?
I actually did a video, Steve, on this carburetor, and what I did on one, what I found was that little 3-inch line started to degrade, I'm assuming from the ethanol, and there were little black chips in there of fuel line, and it held the needle open, and it kept flooding out all over the place, and it was the actual ID of the fuel line, that little 3-inch piece of fuel line.
Yeah.
So
you just need to replace that fuel line.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've seen that happen in the past before too. Yeah.
A lot of questions. Now, Steve, I can't click on a
Point
question.
them out to me if you see some questions there. Let me know.
Yeah. Well, there's a few going, but you have to hit it, right? To hit show. I can't do that, I don't think.
No, well, that's right. You bring my attention to it, and I'll do what I can if I can.
Guys, if the question doesn't come up, feel free to post it again, copy and paste it again, and hopefully we'll see it a second or third.
We got 266 people in here all trying to chat. So the April does have the chat turned down to slower right now, but they still go pretty quick. So don't be offended if we missed your question. Just ask again.
Oh, I see our friend Stella's on. Hello, Stella.
Yeah, I see that too. There we go. That's Stella, the lawnmower lady. There you go. The only problem she has with those plastic carbs is when other people use carb cleaner on the fuel stack and the little O-rings fold over. Yeah, you know, some carb cleaner out there is really bad.
STP's the worst.
Yeah, really bad. They'll melt rubber O-rings. And then there's some carb cleaners out there that I've used that don't seem to do anything, like do anything to hurt anything. So yeah, carb cleaner spray, it's not all the same. There are some better and some are worse.
Stay away from the rubber.
Yes, and if you're not sure, absolutely don't spray it directly on rubber. I've never had any carb cleaner really destroy plastic myself, but rubber, yeah.
Yeah, mostly the swelling. Once you get the swelling, the seat swells up. You get too much of a float angle, and the gasket, especially on that Nicky, that weird looking gasket. Once that springs a little bit, you're never getting that back on.
I like what you just said there with a, like say a Briggs and Stratton or a Tecumseh. It has that rubber Viton seat with a steel needle. Yep. And yeah, you get something like that in there, and the needle or the seat swells up.
Yep.
And it makes your float not level anymore, and you can have all kinds of problems.
It'll run for 30 seconds, then die. It happened to me. I got a video on it. It would run for 30 seconds, die. Or what the heck's going on? Fuel flow was great. It was a swollen seat. Yeah. I see another super chat in there, Steve.
I see that too. Frozen Ground Bear. Hey, that's a hell of a name. What is your best advice to starting a home-based small engine repair business? Thank you for your videos. They're very helpful and informative. You know what? You got anything to say about that, Ken?
Well, it depends on whether you're going to do a legit business or you're just going to do it as a hobby to make some coffee money. Okay. If you're doing a legit business, an LLC, which is normally what I'd recommend, because here I don't know where you are, Frozen Ground Bear, but if you're in the States, an LLC will protect you legally so they can't take your house and all this other stuff, if anything goes wrong. But if you're going to do it, as a full blown business, you're going to have to do your quarterly taxes. You're going to have to get a tax number from your state and all that. The only good thing is if you do it totally legit and have the tax numbers, you can open up accounts with Stens and Rotary and all these big guys, get real good discounts on parts and start to make some money for yourself. So just know the rules before you get into it, but know the liabilities because you don't want to get in trouble with it, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to throw another guy's name out here. Phil's Small Engine Nation, but he changed it, didn't he?
Yeah, now it's Phil's Lawn Care. I think he went
Phil's
back.
Lawn Care. So I think his YouTube channel's name is Phil's Lawn Care now. He
Mhm.
has a whole bunch of videos on YouTube on answering your exact question, Frozen Ground Bear. How to start a home-based small engine repair business. He's got lots of videos out there for that. So check him out. Phil's Lawn Care. And that's Phil with an F, not a P-H-I-L.
Like fill up your glass.
F-I-L-L, yeah.
One thing I could say, though, too, Steve, is a lot of people that want to do this, if it was for a business or something, you got to look at your situation, your personal situation, your family. If you have kids, do you have insurance? How could you provide for your family? Don't think you look at some of our videos, Pate, I made $1,000, or this other guy made $200 or whatever. Don't think it's going to be a cash cow. Don't think it's going to come immediately. Most businesses, they say, keep a year's worth of revenue in the bank for an emergency just in case, because your first year, you're going to flop. You're not going to be the big success you think you are. Make sure you and your family are taken care of before. I just don't want people to start this thing and think, I'm going to make tons of money and all this. Then all of a sudden, 6 months down the road, they're going on welfare. You don't want that. You want to enjoy it. You want to have fun, but take care of what counts first, your family.
Yeah. See, I don't know if this is Jason or Christina Pate that's typing this, but you get good prices outside of Stens in Oregon. And those are two aftermarket companies, in case nobody knows. Stens in Oregon are aftermarket companies that, well, they are copies, I don't.
Stens is owned by Gravely, which is big, but Stens, great discounts. I mean, like I said, you see Jason on there buying 20 mower blades at a time for $3 each instead of $19.95 at Home Depot. And air filters. I love Jason. I make a deal. I call up and make a deal. I'll get it for 97 cents instead of $4.95, and that's great. And that's what business and being here is all about, is making a buck, but also offer good parts too. Don't buy the cheapest stuff, because I'll be honest with you, I've gone on Amazon and bought the inline fuel filters that are 50 cents a piece. That one leaked. I mean, what do you do when you get a pissed off customer who's 20 miles out? You know what I mean? You don't want to call back.
Like, they literally leak in the plastic where the plastic melted together. They're garbage. They're not manufactured properly.
Yep. I cannot stand callback, Steve. When someone leaves my house, I hope I don't hear from them again, except for another order.
All right. There's another one right there from Ziga. I have a question about carburetors. Why chainsaws can be set on more RPM than trimmer? Is that because connecting rod is longer on trimmer or anything else? Ziga from Slovenia.
Well, really, it's all about the mixture. I mean, if your mixture runs lean enough and it's allowed to run lean, your bore and stroke do have something to do with it. Your strokes give you low end torque and stuff like that. But as far as the RPM, if you have the correct mixture to allow it to get there, and the right carburetor diaphragms and all that, it's going to do it. But certain carbs I've thrown on chainsaws where it starves them out, and I can't get above 11,000 or 10,000 when it should be 13, So it all depends. But keep in mind, guys, when you have a saw and you buy it, the OEM is there for a reason. The engineer spent a lot of money and time and effort getting the right combination. So, don't screw around if you can avoid it. Put what's supposed to be on there. Try and find the OEM workshop or service manual for the equipment. See what the RPM is supposed to be. And if you have access to a tachometer, do it with a tachometer to make sure you're at the right level so you don't blow your engine. People with two strokes think more is better. No. You run it lean, and rev the heck out of it past what it's supposed to be. It's going to be pieces.
Yeah, on top of that, I agree with everything you just said, but I think I have a couple different videos on how to tune the carburetor on a trimmer versus a chainsaw. And what he may possibly be referring to there is, why can you rev a chainsaw up to 13,000 RPM? And you can't do that with a weed eater. You turn the high speed screw in further and further, and then it starts slowing down as you're going in further with the high speed screw.
Well, on a trimmer, I have an engineering degree, so the moment of inertia on a trimmer, the centrifugal forces on the head are a lot more than the way a chain is with a sprocket. So, with that head and centrifugal force, the faster you go, you're building up a lot of force in there trying to turn that cable and everything else, and there's just a limit to it.
Yeah, I agree. So I've had some people bring up before, that how the ignition module, the coil, can be governed.
There are certain modules, the
Yeah.
blue modules on Husqvarna. If you have a blue one, it's called a limited coil. It will limit it to a certain RPM, like a rev limiter. Once it hits that RPM,
and it's in
what's going on.
It's in the coil, the ignition module. I know. And then you change, if you're modifying a chainsaw, you take the blue coil off and you put the black coil on, and now you're unlimited. Now
it's your fault.
You go to 18,000 RPM if you want on that puppy.
Telling you. That's why I recommend, my secret is I go online. Husqvarna calls their service manuals workshop manuals. Just type in Husqvarna, the model, workshop, and the PDF. It'll come up with a bunch of stuff. Manuals live. There's all different websites to get free manuals. And just look them up. They're free and they're easy to find.
Lawnmower question. Jim Dwyer, Cub Cadet rear wheel drive, left wheel works, right wheel doesn't. I could use some help. Cub Cadets are an MTD product. You are probably going to find, if you take those wheels off, oh, I wish I had one here. The inside of the wheel itself has a plastic ring on it that has little plastic cogs on it, that the steel part off of your transmission turns your wheel like that. I've seen that so many times where the little plastic nubs on the inside of the wheel itself are burnt off. So you get that little steel gear that's trying to turn your wheel, hits the dead spot where all the plastic is worn off the wheel itself, and then it just spins. I'll bet you anything, because that's an MTD product. I'll bet you if you take
look up the parts
the one that doesn't work, the right wheel doesn't work, he says.
Because we always make left-hand turns.
Hey?
We always make left-hand turns. Which wheel gets the most RPM, right? I know when I mow, I don't make right-hand turns. It's mostly left-hand turns. Yeah,
you know what? That's a good point. One wheel will wear out faster. So Jim Dwyer, I really honestly believe if you take your right wheel off, it's going to be a 9/16 socket or a 14 millimeter socket. You're going to zip it off with one nut and pull that wheel off and look at what I'm talking about. And you're going to see that some of those little gear cogs, plastic ones, are just burnt right off.
Just remember, when you take that wheel off, make note of any washers, wave springs, and the order in which they come off, because it makes a difference. You'll lock the wheel up.
Yes, especially if you take the wheel off and then the gear is there, and now you take the gear off, then you really have to worry about some stuff on different models. Any other questions popping out at you there, Ken?
Simon Barker, what is that one? About a Briggs and electric starter? You see that one? Simon Barker?
I'm scrolling up now. Is that an older one?
No, newer one, actually.
What's it say? Can you just, while I'm looking, can you read it out?
Castle Garden Sovereign, so probably from Mick. EL63 Briggs, 8.5. Ride-on starts using pull start, but not using the electric starter. The starter's turning, but the engine won't turn over. You want to take that one, Steve, when the pull works, but the electric start doesn't on a Briggs?
8.5 horsepower engines. Oh, so we're talking about a riding lawnmower, obviously. Yeah, ride-on starts. Okay, I should probably read it.
It's weird, though. He says that the pull start, when you pull it, it starts. The electric start's actually working, if I read this correctly, but it won't start. The only thing I could say with that is there may be something in your wiring that's killing the ignition when the starter circuit is on, and it's not giving you ignition when you're hitting your starter. It's the only reason I could say, because when you do the pull start, you're not using any of that wiring going to the starter.
You know what? I can't come up with a better answer than that, Ken. That is kind of weird to me. You pull start it,
and turning it. You're not getting ignition
unless your battery or something is so dead where the electric starter is turning the engine over, but it's turning over so slowly that it just can't fire. And
the only thing I would recommend, though, Steve, is pull the kill wire off the coil and try it again to see if anything electrically is making it kill the ignition while you're starting with the electric.
Because what's that do when you do that, Ken? Bypasses all the safety switches.
There you go.
Yeah. Then you know if it's a safety switch or not. But that's probably a really old, if it has a pull start and an electric start on it, 8.5 horsepower, that sounds like an old riding lawnmower to me.
Like an old snapper rear engine. They had a lot.
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the other super chat there, what do we got?
What do we got there? Jeremy Fleck. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, buddy. Hi, Steve from California. I'm not going to pronounce that. California. You thought about making a small engine saloon NFT. I'm not sure what that means. What's NFT mean? Is that something bad?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that means, Jeremy.
NFT. Mick's posting something for Mendit Man. Briggs E-Series engine with the plastic carbs keep flooding. Air filter carb new still the same. Could it be the valves? If not, what else on the Briggs E-Series engine?
Who posted that?
Mendit Man through Mick.
Through Mick. So
you'll see it in Mick's post. It says
there you go. Right there?
There you go.
All right. Engine with the plastic carb keeps flooding the air filter.
It sounds like the needle to me. I mean, that's what happened with mine. I had black dirt from inside the fuel line holding the needle open. I know everything, is new and all that stuff. But I would clean it, make sure the fuel line is clean, fuel tank is clean, and, put it upside down. I know you probably don't have a air pump or anything, but put it upside down, blow in, make sure it's sealing and you're not getting any air through, so you're not having any needle leaks, because flooding on those is generally the needle.
As far as I know, that's the only possible way a carburetor can flood. It goes through the needle and seat. The needle and seat's the shutoff valve, just like in the back of your toilet.
And it doesn't take much. A little bit.
It's either on or off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he says, could it be the valves? Okay, so I have heard before. I've never seen this with my own eyes before, but if it's running fine, but it's kind of as it's running, it's kind of backsplashing back into the air filter, then that could be a valve problem. And I can't remember it's either the intake or the exhaust valve, obviously, but one of them may not be set right. And you know what? Those things are really easy to check your valves.
Yeah, I believe they're 5,000 each, right, Steve?
You know what? If you do 5,000 intake, 5,000 exhaust, and it still doesn't run, then or it still does that, then the valves aren't your problem.
Well, and remember, those have plastic camshafts, and if you hit a tree or something or a root and the lobe moves a little bit, I have one in my driveway right now where the lobe's moved a little bit, it backfires like crazy, won't start. Yeah,
that's a great point. I can't believe the first time that I ever took one of those engines apart and I saw a plastic cam wheel gear. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. And then I had to order another one because it was melted. It was burnt off. And then when I ordered the new one, it said, "Oh, do you want a plastic one or a steel one?" I was like, "Oh, I'll take the steel one this time. Thank you very much." So yeah, I was like shocked when I saw that. What do we got here from Buckland Outdoor Power Equipment? $10 super chat. Thanks, buddy. You ever see someone use silicone to reseal a head gasket? Yup. I bought an 18 horsepower Intech last week that was that way. It was actually running with 2 bolts missing. So your head was sealed with silicone. See, there's different kinds of silicone. Some people call that, hopefully we're not talking about the silicone that you reseal your bathtub with. Now that's silicone, right? Some
Permatex, right?
Yeah, Permatex. It's not actually silicone though. People call it
the older one. I use Right Stuff. I love that black stuff called Right Stuff. Yeah. It's silicone based. So I would never use it as a gasket. I mean, some people, if you look at the guys that build the chainsaws, especially race saws and stuff like that, they go without a gasket to give themselves a little more compression, stuff like that. But you have to use like a high-low-mar or a thin, tacky gasket seal that's going to dry fairly hard, and don't run the thing until it's dried hard. But don't use silicone in place of a gasket. Or if your gasket's blown, don't think silicone's going to be the cure-all, because it really isn't.
No, I'm just really curious to know why there was 2 bolts missing.
Well, he said he's going to have a video.
That's weird, man. Would they vibrate out? I don't think so. But yeah, don't use that bathtub. So I thought that's what you meant, and maybe you do mean that, but I've seen that before. Bathtub silicone used for gaskets, and it's just gasoline or oil just melts that to nothing. It's gone. It just melts it. If you use the proper stuff, just so you know, there is some of that gasket making material that people call silicone. There's one, I think it's made by Permatex. It's called copper. It's actually an orange color.
Yeah, that's usually for higher heat too.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm bringing that up for the head gasket. If you put a new head gasket in something, you shouldn't need anything on there. They're pretty thick. They're coated in
Oh yeah, but I retorque I do 3 heat cycles when I do a head gasket. I run at the temperature, let it cool, ambient, torque it, run it. I do it 3 times, 3 heat cycles, because that way, if the thermal expansion between the aluminum cast iron or aluminum, if it hasn't done enough of that, it could loosen up over time. So I do 3 heat cycles on my small engines if I do a head gasket.
That's very interesting. So you let it heat up and then let it cool off again and torque and then do it again?
Yeah, I'll keep it for 3 days in the driveway, and then the last time I do it, run it, take it home.
Yeah.
How many times, you get a call back and it's, oh boy, you can go a quarter turn with the bolts.
Yeah.
I see another celebrities here. Mower Medic. Jeremy's around. Hello, Jeremy.
Oh, there he is. Mower Medic. Check that out. He says, hello, Stella. It's pronounced Steve, Jeremy. And you spelled it wrong too.
I'll tell you, another great channel. I listen every day.
He's of course referring to the lawnmower lady. Her name's Stella.
Well, her name, whatever it is that day, right?
Yeah, she has a different name patch on every day. Here's a generator one. What do we got here? Let's do that, Brett.
I should text James Condon, see if I can get him up.
Sure. I have an older Coleman PowerMate 3500 watt generator with a Briggs engine on it. It will start, run for 10 seconds, then die. Makuni carb. Carb was cleaned thoroughly. Was the carb cleaned thoroughly inside, or did you just spray it off on the outside? I've got that. I've caught a lot of people on that before. They say, oh, I cleaned the carb. It looks all nice and shiny on the outside, but they never ever took the carburetor apart and cleaned the inside. So hopefully you did that.
But for 10 seconds though, Steve, does it have a low oil shutdown?
Yep, absolutely. Coleman PowerMate 3500. I can almost guarantee you that has a low oil shutoff on it.
Yeah, unplug the low oil. Well, first check it. Always check it first. Make sure there's enough oil in there, because no one ever checks generator oil. Check it. If it's good, pull the wire off that. See if it stays running after 10 seconds. I had a bunch of those last year.
And I believe a PowerMate, that is a Honda. It's a Honda clone on that generator. And I think it's a Honda clone. So when you check the oil on that thing, you want it to be right level with the threads.
Yeah, right as it comes.
I know some of those, even Hondas, they have a dipstick that's 2 inches long, and as long as people see a little bit on the end, then they think it's got oil in it, but it's low oil. If you want to check it for sure, make sure it's full to where it is, and then just unplug the wire that goes into the side of your block.
If I'm not mistaken, Steve, the Colgate 3500 PowerMate with Briggs engines, those are Briggs engines. They're green, and they have the Coleman brand of the generator head that goes on there. Those, remember, they came in red and green models.
Yeah. Sorry, and you know what? I just read that again, and I just made a huge mistake here. It says Briggs engine right on it. That's my mistake. That is obviously not a Honda. It says Briggs engine.
But the same oil check though, Steve. Even if you don't have the dipstick, or a lot of times they'll just have the plug in it. Once it starts to the top thread and starts to run out, that's it. You're even. That's why they put it there.
That's exactly right. You can't overfill some of those. Yeah. Because unless you tip it up on its side and just keep on glugging oil in there.
Or if you have a leaky
needle, level, you can't overfill it.
Or a leaky needle and seat where it's half full of fuel.
Yeah, and then you go to check it and you unscrew it and it goes splosh, and a big bunch of gasoline and oil comes out. Then now you got a carburetor problem. Here we go. Mick's got another one. Question from Troy Jones. Hello from Connecticut. What are your thoughts on using mixed boat fuel in power tools? Mixed boat fuel. Do you mean marked boat fuel?
What do you mean?
Well, where I live, you can get actual boat gas that's marked. It's called marked gas. It's got a purple dye in it.
Is it mixed with oil or?
No, it's just there's no road tax on it, so you're not allowed to burn it in your car, but you can use it in your boat.
Yeah, because he's saying it's a 50 to 1
little
mix.
bit money.
You know, the only thing I don't recommend using marine oil, because marine oil is generally made for liquid cooled engines, where two-stroke oil for air cooled engines, totally different type of oil. Remember, liquid cooled marine engines are a lot cooler than air cooled small engines.
Yeah. So okay, I think I know what he's talking about. Can you use mix? You want to mix your gas? Can you use marine two-stroke oil, or does it have to be weed eater or chainsaw mix oil?
Yeah, I wouldn't use marine oil. I've heard too many horror stories. It's not made for the higher temperatures of an air engine.
Yeah. And so the thing that I've always heard in the past, and I kind of believe this, is that you get two-stroke oil. You can get TCW3, right? That's what it's called, the TCW3 rating for mixing your two-stroke outboard. If it's a water-cooled outboard, that's what you want. If it's an air-cooled weed eater or a chainsaw, it's different because those two oils burn at different temperatures.
Yeah.
Because a chainsaw or a weed eater gets way hotter than a water-cooled outboard engine does. So it'll probably work. I know lots of people who actually use boat mix TCW3 in their chainsaws and weed eaters. In an emergency situation, I would do that, but I really do not think you should be doing that.
I think you'll get a lot more leaner of a mixture because that oil isn't meant to be so hot. I think it'll flash off faster. You'll get a lot of lean condition, and you may hurt the engine.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I was looking for. The flash point on those two oils is different. It burns at different temperatures. Yeah. So, Troy Jones. Okay. Don't do it. Don't do it unless you're not saving any money. Yeah. What are you going to save? 4 cents?
Yeah. If someone dropped off gas of it, you know.
Yeah.
And Connecticut. Hello from Connecticut. I'm down in Southwest.
Yes.
Connecticut.
I was just going to say, aren't you in Connecticut?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a guy on here at Golem. He said he does it all the time. And honestly, it's your own choice. You know, do it at your own risk. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying outboard oil and water cooled is there for a reason. Yeah.
I think it's probably a very technical. I'll tell you this. If you have a two-stroke outboard that's worth $5,000, you don't want to be using chainsaw mix oil in that.
Or Walmart 50-cent oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, another celebrity, Smitty. I love his channel, Smitty's Chainsaws and Firewood.
Great there he is. $5 super chat. Thanks, Smitty. Big thanks. I wanted to mention bad gas can cause all sorts of problems. Yes. Sometimes it's nothing more than bad gas. Gas doesn't last forever. Boy, I'll tell you that.
Well, gas between the smell and the water, right?
What's the shelf life on just your regular 87 ethanol fuel you get from the fuel station?
I go 1 month and I throw it in the car.
Yep, 30 days. Exactly.
Yeah. But Smitty, great channel. I love your channel, Smitty.
Cool. Bad gas. Yeah, that's a huge one, Smitty. I got to agree. Bad gas. Man, when I worked at a small engine shop, it was unreal. It was like, I would say 20% of every lawnmower that came in, the fuel in the tank was just rancid. Gagging. You take a whiff of it and it just make you gag. It didn't even smell like gas anymore.
Yeah, never trust what's in the small.
It goes bad. Absolutely. What do we got there? B Multi, $10. What's that? Euros?
Pounds, it looks like. Or is it euro?
Thanks, B. Hey, Steve. Had a weed eater which stopped running. Shop wanted 140. I think that's euros. Well, whatever, $140 to replace the carb. Wow, that's expensive in any country. Thanks to your videos, I spent $5 for a repair kit and fixed it myself. Thanks and greetings from Germany. That'd be
definitely euro. Yep.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Hey, B, thank you very much. You know what? When somebody says a comment like that to me, That's music to my ears. That's why I do Steve Small Engine Saloon. That's why I do my channel, is to help people save some money like that. I love it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah.
Got another one about the AMSOIL.
Yeah, where is that? Full Throttle. Hey, I love your YouTube name. Full Throttle. That's like a name like Max Power. Love it. $5 super chat. Thanks, bud. What do you think about running AMSOIL Sabre 100-to-1 mix? I have no experience with AMSOIL Sabre. The only one I've ever known that actually says you can go 100-to-1 is Optimal.
Yeah. In the blue tube.
OptiPro,
Opti 2.
Yeah, Opti 2 now they call it. Yeah. And they say you can run chainsaws, weed eaters, and everything at 100-to-1 mix. That scares the crap out of me.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure it works. I'm sure they do it. But you know what? A lot of times you find them, they do it in like race engines because they run it once and then rebuild it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're going to smoke the thing anyways. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Hey, our friend Phil chimed in. So hello, Phil.
Yeah, 100-to-1 is just.
Put it this way.
See the point. Yeah, you can get a little bit less smoke out of it. So
if it's an MS 170 and you don't care about it and you're chopping 1 tree a year and you want to play with it, go ahead. Maybe we're good for you. But I mean, 100-to-1 to me. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, Steve. I use 40-to-1, 40 or 45. And
I do too. I've been using 40-to-1 in everything of mine for 30 years. Well, 25 years. And I've never, ever scored a piston in my life. 40-to-1. Full Throttle. Use that oil if you want to, but just put half as much gas in it. And now you have a 50-to-1 mix. You can still use the oil, but just don't mix it at 100-to-1. Mix it at a 50-to-1 or 40-to-1.
Someone said, is there a point to using daily special gasoline like Aspen 2? I never heard of that.
Aspen, we sell that around here too. Aspen is a all gasoline's manufactured, of course, but it's canned gas, and it's the same. It's the same as Moto Mix or the canned gas you buy,
like True Fuel or something.
Exactly, same thing as True Fuel. Okay. Yeah, but you can buy Aspen with that's already mixed like True Fuel. You can also buy it just pure gas for like your lawnmower, your riding lawnmower or whatever. And yeah, it lasts for like 3 years. As far as I know, Aspen gas is the same thing as what you buy at the airport, avgas, aviation gas. It's just pure clean fuel. So what's this one here? Husqvarna or steel? Oh, chainsaw?
Say it correctly.
Husqvarna or steel? That depends on what size.
What are you doing?
You take to me, they're both the top manufacturers in the world. It's like saying, what's better, Ford or Chevy?
Oh, Chevy, definitely.
You're exactly. See, you're going to get 10 guys. You're going to get 10 car guys in the same room. 5 of them are going to say Ford suck, and the other 5 are going to say Chevy suck. So they're both excellent, in my opinion. It depends. I think that the small steel saws are better than the Husky, but I believe that when you get it, and the big saws, like the big falling saws that you put like a 36-inch bar on, that loggers use, I think it's equal. You can get steel and Husqvarna or just high quality saws when you get that big. Medium size saws, it depends on the model. Each one of those in the medium size saws kind of is better or one or the way or another. So, and all the new models that are coming out now, I really need to read up on those a little bit more because I'm kind of getting left behind a little bit on those.
Check out some of James's videos at Hayes Machinery. He's got some good reviews of a lot of the new stuff.
Yeah, James Hayes Machinery was lucky enough to get his hands on a Husqvarna 592 XP, which even the dealerships where I live can't even get one. They are not, what do you call it, produced. They're not
What, in
mass.
production yet?
What's that?
In production yet, you mean?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's what I meant to say. But James Hayes, he got his hands on one to do a couple of videos, and those are pretty nice saws, man. Yeah.
There's a guy out there, Adrian, asking about a clutch. His clutch is going ding, 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 and it's rotating when it's idling in an FS90. And he's asking, should I just change the whole thing or just change the spring? We'll take it apart first, Adrian, see what it is. Is it a broken spring? Is the clutch shoe face material totally destroyed? I mean, it's not expensive to replace the clutch springs and a drum. I mean, if it's a good, an FS90 isn't cheap. So, maybe worth it just to replace the whole thing, but find out why first.
The very first thing I would check on that, Adrian, is to see if your idle screw's turned in too far.
Again, look at the manual from Steel will tell you what the idle RPM should be, and it should not be engaging.
Yeah, exactly. But if you can turn your idle screw down on that thing so it still runs, it still idles, and really slow even, and then where you think, hey, this thing is running so slow it's going to stall like any second, and your clutch is still engaging, then absolutely what Ken just said, probably an FS90, it has one clutch spring in there.
That's the band spring, right? The band is the one spring that goes all the way around it. Yeah.
No, on that one it's the two shoes.
Is the bands?
And it's just one coil spring right in between that holds the two shoes together.
Oh, okay.
On that one.
I think the telltale that he's saying though is making noise when you have the ding, 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 ding. Yeah. That's when you know
it's trying to engage. Usually, though, you know what? If that was a broken clutch spring on that one, because there is actually only one spring, then it wouldn't go ding, ding, ding. It would just, your line head would just turn all the time. Your line head would, as soon as you start it, it wouldn't go ding, ding, ding. It would just be automatically engaged. Yeah. Turn your idle down, see what happens on that one. Those are a bitch of a clutch.
You said already check the idle RPM, clutch rattles like crazy.
Perfect. Okay.
Take it apart. And what is it, Steve? T27s on those, right? To get in there to take out the
absolutely. Yep. T20. A T25 does work, but you got to be careful.
And you need a thin one too. It won't make it inside the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are funny. You know, a Steel FS90, it's kind of funny. You can't just buy it like a chainsaw clutch. You can just buy the whole clutch, zip your old one off, zip a new clutch on, and you're done. Those FS90s, you can't do that because they're in pieces. You buy the individual pieces to repair it. It's kind of a weird design, in my opinion, but look at that one. 372 is my biggest and favorite, to be honest. Buddy.
Best saw they ever made from Husqvarna.
Oh, buddy. If you got a 372, whew, you take care of that thing. Those are incredibly good saws.
Especially
I'm sure James Hayes would agree with that.
Now you poured it and the thing will bark like a dog.
Unbelievable, man. Those are awesome chainsaws. Yeah, there you go. James says loves 372s. Golem. He's at 088 steel. Wow.
Oh, that's a big.
That's a big one. That's a big chainsaw.
And they're coming out with the new one now, right? What's the one they're coming out with, Steve? Another to take a place of 088, right? Aren't they coming out with a brand new one?
Yeah, Steel. I think the biggest one Steel's ever made is an 090, and they are a boat anchor, man. They're huge. They're just giant chainsaws, bigger than a Husqvarna 3120. I'm not sure which Steel is coming out with that's bigger. As far as I know, they're not coming out with a bigger one. Maybe they are, though. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, James says MS881. Yeah, that'll be a little bit bigger. It'll be the updated one.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Here we go. There's my genre. Husqvarna 266 XP. That's an old chainsaw, Chris. That's an old chainsaw. And man, if you take care of that thing too, you cannot buy those anymore. You haven't been able to buy a 266 for so long now. Carburetor job.
Yeah, check the diaphragm, the metering lever height, make sure it's not flooding out. Do a pressure test on the carburetor, make sure everything's good. But also I recommend going to see our friend Matthew Olson, great Husqvarna repair channel.
Chris, if you have that 266, it has a Tillotson carburetor on it, and you need to rebuild the carb on that. The carburetor rebuild kit you need for that, write this down. It's called an RK23HS is the part number. Tillotson carb kit, RK23HS. And if it's flooding like that, when you try to start it, that's going to be your problem, because that's an old chainsaw. So your carburetor diaphragm is probably all hard and crispy now. It's not working right. Get it wherever you want. I would actually buy an OEM one. Get it from a Husqvarna dealer, and they're not that expensive. Where I live, I think that whole carb kit costs like $17. I would not buy, even if you can buy one, a replacement carburetor, the whole carburetor for that. I would not buy that, because it's not going to be a Tillotson. It'll be some Chinese knockoff thing that's not going to work as well as a rebuilt Tillotson.
The Tillotson HS is a great carburetor. Some people use the Walbro WS on those as well, but the Tillotson is the original OEM. It works the best. Yeah.
I love those I used to have a 266, and I don't know what happened to it. That was awesome. There you go, James. Did you learn something? I'm just kidding.
Steve, James writing down everything now. I tell you, a lot of times on the older models, unless you look it up, they don't tell you a lot.
Okay, here's a question right there. George, I bought a fuel line replacement kit for my Echo HC 1500, so it's an Echo hedge trimmer. Mm-hmm. The black rubber piece is bigger than the original, or they're two different sizes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
5 different sizes.
You're talking about the little black
Echo uses black for their fuel lines. They use the Tygon color for their vents.
And it has it'll either have 2 holes in it or 3 holes in it.
Yeah, if it has the vent.
And I know what you mean. There are different sizes for that.
One thing
and those things, you know what, they wear out like crazy.
Oh yeah,
I change those grommets all the time because they get all hard, spongy, and when you pull it out, they kind of just tear apart and rip in half.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the grommet. Yeah, the grommet, because there's different size 2-hole and 3-hole grommets as well.
Yes, there is.
So yeah, I bought one time. I told them what it was for. I come home, it's an 1/8 inch smaller on the OD, and I'm like, oh, come on. You know. So yeah, they're definitely the get the right size. You have to get the right size, but beware of the Chinese ones. I've bought them. People come by and I want to buy, Kenny, I bought this thing on Amazon. Can you install it for me? And I look, and I don't know what rubber they're using or what polymers they're using, but it's not as good as OEM for those rubber grommets. It doesn't last.
I've seen some of those ones that you can buy, the Chinese ones too. They're not the original from Echo, and they are rock hard. Like, they have to be soft and supple to push in the hole of the gas tank.
Yeah.
So it goes in and kind of sponges out so it seals. I've seen those things that are absolutely as hard as a rock, and you can't get them in the hole.
How about the little holes in it, Steve? You can't pull the fuel line through. I've torn fuel line trying to pull it through those little holes because the plastic just isn't right. The rubber, it's not right.
Hey, you know what? I just thought of something. You know what we were talking about, carb spray, wrecking rubber? Maybe you could spray one of those with carb cleaner and make that rubber softer on purpose.
But I think he's saying he's got like a 1-inch diameter grommet instead of a 3/4 diameter grommet, and it will no way go in that hole. Because Echo has a grommet that's about 3/4 in diameter. Another one's like a 1/2 inch diameter. So
see, I see what you mean, but I have seen those ones that were so hard where I thought it was a bigger grommet also, but it was just so hard you couldn't get it in the hole of the fuel tank because it was just so hard. It might have been if it was soft enough, it might have been the right grommet.
I've actually boiled them in water too to get them soft. Get them.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. Love it. I've done that before too. Yeah. Oops, we're missing somebody here. Who's this? Jim E. Hey, Steve, I need to buy you a beer. Always enjoy the info and ideas you share. Have you ever done a video about servicing, adjusting the old Honda EX650 suitcase generators. Oh, I have never done a video on that. Jim, I would assume you have one. I don't know if I will ever do a video on that, to be honest with you, because it's really hard to come by one now to do, just to have it to do the video. And not only that, but if I did that video, I might get 2 people watch it because nobody has them. You're very lucky, Jim, if you have one of those, because they're really cool generators.
Yeah, it looks like they get a lot of money for them too. There's one on eBay now for $1,500.
There's one that's even smaller than that. As far as I know, it's the only 2-stroke Honda generator that I ever made, and it was called the EX350. It's like this big. It's a little tiny little suitcase. It's 2-stroke, 350 watts. Camping, you just take it to run a couple lights and a radio. That's all it's good for.
Yeah, Harbor Freight has one now too. It's like a Champion brand, I believe, the Chinese one, but it's literally this big, and it's like you said, 300-400 watts.
Yeah. Yeah, and my point to that actually was the EX350, that small, tiny one. If you can find one of those that runs, they are worth a fortune. They are so old. Those generators got to be 40 years old. Wow. And 2-stroke, right? So same vintage as that little kicker outboard that I did that video on. You know, it's just old as the hills, and it's 2-stroke, and it still runs good. So if you can find an EX 350, boy. I don't know anybody else who has a video on that Honda EX650, Jim. Not sure. Yeah, YouTube search it. Literally EX650 and see what you come up with. I haven't seen anybody have a video on that.
Gary Smith is asking, fix a Tecumseh or replace it with a Briggs. It's an electric start on a snapper walk behind, self-propelled. Well, if it's an electric start walk behind, what's wrong with it, Gary? I mean, electric start. I mean, I had that lady, I posted a video lately where she was 85 years old and said, I want it starting on the first pull. It always did. Da, 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 da. And it ended up being a little bit of grass holding the choke open about a 16th of an inch. Once I cleaned it out, it was perfect. I mean, I'm a Tecumseh nut. I love Tecumseh. I would say fix the Tecumseh, but that's me.
Oh, I just saw one here I wanted to bring up. Hey, there you go. James just said Mixed Mowers has a great video about a suitcase Jenny.
Oh, he did that one. It was actually a Yamaha engine. It was a home light with a Yamaha engine. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well,
and it was a fuel pump that actually was made for an outboard motor. And I actually found the part for him. It was pretty cool.
So, yeah, maybe check Mixed Mowers video. You might learn something from that one.
Yeah, but usually though, Steve, I don't know if you think this way, but the Hondas in general, the engineering is so good on those. It's not like rocket science to figure out what it could be and how to fix it.
Yeah, right. Hey, Mick, by the way, you're a moderator. Feel free to run your own link here. I don't mind at all. Throw your own link to that exact video down right in the chat if you want to. You give her, buddy.
Ooh, Mendenman says he has a Honda 2-stroke strimmer. Wow, I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, they're made by Echo, though.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, it's exactly the same as an Echo.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
and I know
it's red instead of orange, and it says Honda on it instead of Echo. It's a identical trimmer. Yeah. Which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Echoes are great stuff, especially those old trimmers or strimmers, like you guys call it in the UK.
You combine string and trimmer and say strimmer.
Strimmer, exactly. So yeah, the older Echoes, they're awesome.
Oh yeah, our friend Chicanic the other day was saying that one of the Echo equipment now actually has a Honda engine on it with the timing belt and all. A 4-stroke Echo trimmer now has, I think, is it Husqvarna? Oh, maybe I'm sorry. Yeah, Husqvarna. The newer 4-stroke Husqvarna trimmer is actually
it's called the 324
4L or something.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. They are an actual Honda engine. It says Honda not on the outside, but if you look up underneath the cooling shroud, the top shroud, it does have Honda stamped right on the side of the engine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Would you, Keith Sires, $5, £5, that's £5 right there. Thanks, buddy. Would you do any videos on electric mowers and chainsaws or water pumps? Yes. I don't think I'm going to have any choice but to start doing some of those soon. The world is turning to the the battery powered stuff. I think that's what you mean. You mean electric mowers. Well, you don't mean the one that you take your extension cord and plug in. I'm pretty sure you mean battery powered. Would you do any videos on electric mowers and chainsaws or water pumps? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you mean battery powered by that.
Yeah, check out James Hayes' channel. He did a lawnmower drag race with electric lawnmowers.
Oh, that was cool. That was fun. Exactly. Who knew that somebody would do that on a riding lawnmower? And they're so fast too.
I see Buckland's back. He's got another super chat.
So Keith, to answer your question, yes, I will be doing some of those. Buckland, you say?
Yeah, he was just before the one you just did. Go scroll.
Oh, there we go. How rare is it V-twin Tecumseh?
He means rare, like steak. It is rare, like hen's teeth. I don't see a lot of those. I really.
Hey, you know what? If you mean rare, that is rare.
Yeah, I've never seen one. Well, I've seen them.
The only one I've never seen one. I don't think I've ever seen one. That's got to be old, eh, Kenny?
Yeah, I would say probably 80s.
Yeah. And he has one. It's the only. He has one. It's only. Yeah. Put it on eBay. Sell that puppy. What's this one? Off-road engineer. You know anyone with a video on a Partner K750? Partner K750 is the identical cutoff saw. It's some people call them a gas axe. It's the cutoff saw. Got the big abrasive disc on it to cut concrete and asphalt and whatnot. Partner K750, as far as I know, is the exact same as a Husqvarna K750. It's just a different color.
Yep. Donnie Boy's got some good videos on that as well.
Yeah. So off-road engineer, if you are just YouTube searching Partner K750, expand your search a little bit and put Husqvarna or Husky K750, and there might be more videos out on that, but it's going to be the exact same.
Yeah. Just K750 saw tons of videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try typing in gas axe or something like that, because there's a lot of people in this world that call those things gas axes.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, I haven't until recently either, but I'm getting a lot of comments going, "Oh, you mean a gas axe?" And I'm like, well, okay, now I know what you mean, but I didn't before. Yeah, it's not funny how we all have different terms depending on what part of the planet we live on. Everybody's got their own slang term for all kinds of things. I find it very interesting.
I just saw it online. I'd never seen that before. Wow. Gas axe. Interesting.
There you go. James Hayes just posted that up if you want to see that. There's a link.
Yeah.
Battery rider video. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. I like it.
It looks like the gas axes in our area are rented out through Home Depot. So I don't know, is it an inexpensive brand or is it just a knockoff?
A gas axe?
Yeah.
It's not a brand. It's just a slang term for a cutoff saw.
Really?
Yeah. Steel, as far as I know, Steel calls them quick cuts or cut quicks.
Interesting.
Steel will never say it's a cutoff saw. They call them quick cuts or cut quicks or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So gas axe is just a slang term for.
Oh, okay.
Like chainsaws, some people call them power saws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Hey, that's cool. Doug Newman, $5 Canadian, my Canadian old mucka. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, that Tecumseh is on a 2003 white outdoor mower. Yeah, so it's an MTD product.
Right there, 2003 white outdoor mower. And spell check nailed me. Yeah, I know. Ken caught you on that one. I would have figured it out, but Ken got it earlier.
Dirt Rider's asking, how many useless tools have you ever bought for a small engine, Steve? Like tools you probably never used or you used once and that was it?
I'm not going to do that today. Nope.
Hey, I was going to suggest the primer bulb installation tool. So.
Absolutely the most useless tool I've ever owned in my life. I would highly recommend, if you have one of these, that you replace this immediately with a Milwaukee product. James Hayes at Hayes Machinery. You're welcome. Hayes Machinery is a big Milwaukee dealer in the UK.
Someone's asking about if he has an old piece of equipment, in this case, an old Poulon 4400 saw. It says it calls out 16 to 1 or 32 to 1 mix because it's old. He says, do you recommend the 40 to 1 or 50 to 1? I recommend 40 to 1 in everything I use. And with the new synthetic oils, just work better than the older oil that's in there. I think you're safe with 40 to 1. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. Like I said a few minutes ago there, I ran everything with 40 to 1 for as far back as I can remember. That's all I've been doing, 40 to 1 mix with, I use steel mix. I just do because it's never failed me. So, hey, there's probably some other oils out there nowadays that are better than the steel mix oil. I don't know.
Yeah, I use the steel ultra as well.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I'm going to keep using that because I have never had anything fail yet. Leonard, go 40 to 1 with good quality. Like Kenny said earlier too, not Walmart stuff.
No, I use steel ultra. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Don't cheap out and save yourself 40 cents because a bottle of oil you're going to save yourself on 2 cents per tank full. It's not worth it. 40 to 1. Oh, I like that. What did I just see? MacGyver. What's this? Ryan. What's the most MacGyver move you've done on a machine?
I got a good one. You go first, Steve. I got a really
I love that question.
Go ahead. You go first.
Nope. I gotta get my thoughts together. You go.
I had a customer who didn't want to spend any money on anything. And he had a tractor where the mower deck belt, and you've seen it, Steve, where it's either too tight of a belt or it's too loose of a belt and you can't get it right. Mm-hmm. Well, what we ended up doing, and I learned it from an old friend, was the pulley coming off the engine, the V groove was worn so that the right size belt would go too far in on the pulley and be loose, and the deck would not run right. So what we did, he didn't want to spend the $19 on a new AYP pulley that goes under the deck. So we took twine and we ran the twine inside the V pulley about 100 turns until it built it up, and it worked great. And it's still working great 5 years later.
That is, Kenny, you got to do a video on that.
I'm serious. And
that is a great trick.
I learned that was a friend of mine who's in his 90s now brought me an engine one time, and he said, there's a problem with this thing. And I literally unwrapped 100 yards of twine or string from this pulley. I thought it was the V belt delaminated and wrapped around. He goes, oh, no, that's an old trick we used to use after the war. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, the V grooves wear. And then you put something in there. They used to use like plumber's string, for packing, and they used to wind it back up and it built up the V groove. And I was like, oh, okay.
That is an awesome trick. I like that. God, I don't want to miss this one. There's Keith again. Thanks, Steve. Have a drink on me. Yes, he means both plug-in and battery. You'll be surprised at how many electric lawnmowers get thrown away. So again, now you mean the actual plug-in electric, the old ones that you plug in, how many get thrown
Black
away?
and Decker.
yeah, exactly. And they were tiny little things. Weren't they like an 18-inch blade on them or something?
How many times you run over the cord?
Everyone
I know that had one of those had a 250-foot extension cord with 16 black tape splices.
Yeah, and you know what else I always found comical about those? It came with an extension cord, but the extension cord was green.
Oh, yeah, so get lost in the grass.
Oh, like, really? Why wouldn't you make that an orange extension cord or bright pink? I always thought that was funny when they came with a green extension cord. And then, you see it cut in half.
You're talking about strange fixes. David Jones says, use pantyhose to fix a dryer belt on a long weekend. Hey, we've all done that. I've used pantyhose on water pump pulleys on an old small block Chevy. I've done that before.
Yeah, for the fan belt.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard of that many times. Get you back home at least, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But who wears pantyhose nowadays, right? How is True Fuel? Where'd that just go?
I like True Fuel. I recommend it to my customers because it's available locally at my Home Depot.
Yeah.
And especially when the guys only use their equipment where one quart is going to last in the season, don't tempt fate. Just buy the quart.
Yeah, it's not going to go bad on you. I buy when I buy it, I get the big jugs like this.
Yeah, the 5-galloners, I have those.
Well, not that big. Just Moto Mix like that.
Oh, okay.
Gallon.
Moto Mix is expensive here in Connecticut.
4 liters.
Yeah, it's expensive here.
Well, I don't run that stuff year round. I store my stuff with that now.
It lasts. Yeah, it lasts a few years at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're at an hour and 11 minutes. We've been going here, so.
Joseph, you're asking, why are so many landscapers buying the old 2-stroke Lawn Boys? Well, between the Lawn Boy 2-strokes and the Toro GTS, which is the Suzuki 2-stroke engine, they are phenomenal engines, great torque, but you could run them on hills, on angles, and you will not blow the engine. You can't do that with a 4-stroke. Your oil goes past where the connecting rod flinger is, you're going to blow the engine. A 2-stroke doesn't have an oil flinger. There's no sump. You can go upside down if you want. And that's what's good about the 2-stroke push mowers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, well, before I want to say something about that. Look at the bottom of your screen. Everybody, subscribe to Kenny Small Engine Saloon. There's his link.
There you go. I have some good content.
Yes, this one. I want to say something about this from Joseph. Fly mows. I know how much Mix Mowers loves the fly mow.
Only Tecumseh powered ones.
Tecumseh 2-stroke. If anybody out there doesn't know what a fly mow is, there's no wheels on it. It's got a fan in it and it hovers. And you can run that landscape. So you know who loved those things years ago? Was golf courses. Because they could run that thing down a steep hill towards a pond or a water hazard. Just like that. Yep. Yep. So you can run that thing down a steep hill, and it's 2-stroke, so it's not going to do what Kenny just said.
They make them electric
oil, and they can fly it right over the water.
I guarantee you, they're going to come out with a cordless one that you plug in like Ryobi.
They do. Bluebird has one. I tried to get my hands on one. It's blue. No, and it has 2 batteries in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. It's a battery-powered fly mow. I don't know if they are in production yet or not, but I actually got to play with a prototype. I'd say 6 months ago or something like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd buy one.
And they work the same.
Cool. Oh yeah, Bluebird. Oh my gosh, a lot of money. Oof.
I know. That's why they wouldn't give me one.
Wow. Yeah. $1,200. Wow.
Oh, it's even more in Canada. It was ridiculous. I think they said the retail price was $2,600 Canadian. And I went, you got to be kidding me. Who would buy that?
Wow. Because usually Bluebird, I think of like cedars and thatchers and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, James Hayes has something to say.
Oh, yeah. You get the cast of characters every Saturday.
Yeah. Subscribe. Mixed channel. He has a live stream every Saturday morning. I don't know what time. It's for me, it's 10:30 a.m. and I live on Vancouver Island. So Los Angeles, Seattle, Vancouver time, 10:30 in the morning. So
yeah, 1:30 my time, 6:30 p.m. UK time.
Yep. Uh-oh. What's this? Any of you ever sent a mower back but forgot to fill it with oil? I know a few local repair guys who have done that. I checked so many times that I make that mistake. I'll tell you this. I worked with a mechanic. He was an incredible mechanic. All he did was mowers. the shop I worked at fixed hundreds and hundreds of mowers every year. And that's what all he did. And he actually took it outside to fire it up. And me and him were talking outside as he was running it. And he looked at me and he shut the mower off. And he looks at me and he goes, "Did I put oil in that?" And I went, "I don't know." And he's like, "I think I forgot to put oil in this." And he pulled
I have green.
He pulled the cap off. He pulled the cap off the dipstick out. And he goes, "I forgot to put oil in this."
But have you ever started one up and after a millisecond said crap and shut it off?
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
I use green tape now, green like painter's tape.
Yeah,
and I'll stick it on the dipstick, and that tells me check it just in case.
And then when you do it, you rip the tape off.
Yeah,
kind of like tying a string. Kind of like tying a string around your finger.
Yep. I had a customer one time wanted his mower, wanted to pick it up, and I hadn't refilled it with oil yet. He comes, takes it, doesn't tell me, and he blows the engine. And I said to him, "You didn't tell me you were coming." "Oh, but I needed it, so I rushed by. I saw it in your driveway, so I grabbed it." "Yeah, but didn't you notice the green tape around the dip?" "Yeah, I don't know." "Oh, yeah, then what do you do?" You know. Someone was asking about an old home light, Steve, a 3100. Say it's not idling correctly, and I just want to, if I can, there's a guy out there in your area, actually your neck of the woods. You probably know him, Leon, House of Home Light. I don't know if you're familiar with Leon, Steve.
He lives in Vancouver.
He's up your way. Yep. And it's called Leon's Chainsaw Repair. He's got his own YouTube channel, big channel, and a website called Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. He's actually bought out dealers and other people. He's got tons of selection of home light, but he's got videos on every single possible older home light, the ones that were made near me in Port Chester, New York. But check him out, Leon's Chainsaw Repair. All about home lights. He's the best source. Me and Bruce Pender were watching his videos like crazy when we were trying to repair a couple of small home light XLs that we had. We learned a great deal. So great website.
Mm-hmm. No, I've never heard of him. I'm quite surprised if he lives on Vancouver Island, has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Vancouver or he may be in Oregon, just across the way.
Yeah.
But I know he's close to you. Leon's Chainsaw Repair. Great guy. If you're interested in the old home lights, anything you would possibly need or a video repair, he's got it.
Cool. I just marked it down. I will check that out.
Yeah, Brucey's put him on his channel as well because he's great source.
All right. I'm running out of steam a little bit here. My throat's starting to go.
Where's your cold beverage? What are we sponsored by today? There you go.
Hey, Steve, I'm rebuilding a DR trimmer and the trimmer head is frozen up. I have tried spray lube and I can't free it up. Any suggestions? So a DR trimmer, I'm pretty sure what you're talking about there is one of those.
The belt trimmer?
A lawnmower engine with a huge weed eater head on the front of it. Yeah. So it's called a wheel trimmer, like brush trimmer, something like that. I think that's what a DR trimmer is. Yeah. There's two bearings in that. The little spindle on the front that spins that big, huge trimmer head is the exact same style as what you'd find on a riding lawnmower as the spindle to turn your blade. It's got a bearing on the top, a bearing on the bottom. And if it's not spinning, it's got to be in there. It's got to be in one of those bearings is C-solid. They are a bit of a nightmare to pull apart. There's a whole guard underneath you got to pull off. There you go. Yep. So if it's not, if you know the trimmer head is stuck, the first thing I'd be doing is pulling that head apart and checking those bearings. And I bet you they're seized or one.
Yeah, go to DR's website, pull the parts list, the IPL, and see what it looks like in there first. It'll show you. I'll be honest with you, Steve. A lot of times I'll pull the IPL just to make sure I'm taking out all the screws. How many times have you taken out 5 screws and there's a 6th that you don't know is there, and you end up cracking a case or cracking a cover?
Yeah. Yep. Do that. I can't think of anything else on there why that trimmer head would be. Well, you know what?
How about string around it though? String.
Yes, thank you. I just realized that there could be a whole bunch of like a rope or just so much grass that's packed in between there that's jamming that.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Ken. You're absolutely correct. And sometimes it's easy enough, just get needle nose pliers in that because it's going to be a little groove. Needle nose pliers or a little razor knife and get in there and cut that out and pull all that stuff out, and you might find it start turning again.
I use the O-ring thing, the O-ring, what do they call those? The pull tool.
It's a little hook.
The hook, yeah, the hook.
Yeah, you just jab it in there and rip all that. Yeah,
so.
Rip it out as you're coming backwards, yeah.
There's someone asking about a Honda mini tiller. There's gas getting into the oil. Well, that's usually needle and seat for the most part.
If there's gas getting into your oil, who posted that one?
William Henry Gordon Pluish. That's a mouthful.
Is it newer?
Toward the bottom, yeah.
William.
Underneath Mick. William Henry Gordon Pluish.
There we go. Honda FG 100 mini tiller. Yes, I know those very well. Gas getting into the oil, so it is a two stroke. So it's a 4-stroke. You have oil in there. Very little oil in there. Those things only take 100 milliliters of oil. How many ounces is that, Ken? Two ounces, something like that. Very little, anyways. If there's gasoline getting into your oil, the only possible way I know that that's happening is through your needle and seat.
Yeah, 3.4 ounces.
Yeah. So it's a 4-stroke, but it has a 2-stroke carburetor on it. It's not a bowl carburetor. It's the same kind of thing you find on your strimmer.
Yeah.
But it's actually a 4-stroke engine. So it's still the needle and seat in there. So I would say that your metering diaphragm, that diaphragm gets really rock hard, and it's holding the lever down and holding the needle open. So I would almost guarantee that you need to just rebuild the carburetor with a new carburetor kit, new diaphragms and gaskets. And that's probably going to fix that. Yeah. Really nice old mini tillers. Those things are awesome. What else is popping out at you, Ken?
Someone's asking about tires on rear tires on like a LA 105 John Deere. I mean, I tube them first before I replace them, but he made a comment, a guy called Wobbleizer, but the comment he made, he says, the tires have large rear puncture holes and the tire repair strings no longer work. What do you mean, plugs? You can't plug them anymore? I mean, if the hole's that big, yeah, you got to replace the tire. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a rear tire like that has the cracks along the sidewall,
dry rot,
the dry rot along your sidewall, if those are actually split open, you can't put a tube in it because the tube will just bubble out like bubble gum.
Did you see Henry's videos though? Mowers and blowers. He uses transmission fluid. He puts it in there, spins them around for a while. He says it seals dry cracking and dry rotting. I've never done it personally, but Henry at Mowers and Blowers says it works for him. Transmission fluid in dry rotted, cracked sidewalls.
Interesting.
But I think he's talking about with the string. I think he's trying to use the cord, the repair cord, the puncture cord that you use to patch it. And the holes are probably so big that the cord won't work. Well, that time, you should replace the tire.
Yeah.
But replacing tires, though, just quick tip on that. Thomas, our friend Thomas Andrews, asked me today about tires. When you replace tires and tubes, find what caused the puncture first. Because if there's a nail or something and it's still inside the rim, you put a new tire or tube in there, it's not going to last. And when you're putting tubes in, make sure when you're using pliers and channel locks and everything else we use to take tires and rims apart, get all the burrs off, sand them all down, because you're going to rip that tube and you're not going to know it. You put the air in there, you're going to be disappointed.
Here's a good question. Happy Camper. Recommendation for a chainsaw bar roller. Brings the groove back to normal gauge width. Grooves are starting to spread. Technically, your groove is not starting to spread. I don't think your guide bar and your chainsaw is actually spreading. It's just the groove itself is wearing out, so you need to pinch that together. I know exactly what you mean about a bar roller. You can get it. It's pretty much like 4 ball bearings that you clamp on there, and then you tighten it up, and then you roll it up and down your bar, and it squeezes the groove tighter. So now your bar fits in there, so it doesn't slop back and forth like this. Right.
I've set vice grips for the right dimensions. Bing, 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 bing. And just
and hey, you know what? All kinds of like that stuff works. If you're a real penny pincher and you want to make it, if you're just cutting firewood, why not? If you're
that's one of those tools
you're not going to do that. But I do not have a recommendation on that. I've only ever used one of those one time in my life, and that was about 30 years ago. I know they do work. I know I have seen one on Amazon.
Yeah. Go on. I know Rich, the chainsaw guy there in Oregon. Rich is real popular. If you go on his website, his channel, or just type in chainsaw bar repair, a lot of good videos on how they do it. There's specialized equipment and there's homemade equipment. So you can go and look on YouTube. There's a lot of videos on that.
Mm-hmm. There's one. Videos on replacing tires, breaking them loose. How do you break when you want to pop the bead off of there, Kenny? What do you do?
I used to use my pickup truck and a 2x4. Lay it on the side of it, drive on it, boom. Or I have a big vise, a very big vise, and that does the trick too. Or you buy one of those Harbor Freight, $48 tire changer, the home ones, and the bead breaker and all stuff. But I tell you though, there are some beads, if they haven't come off in 50 years, have fun.
Yeah, I know.
I've actually cut them off with Sawzalls before too, when they won't break. Just cut the tire and peeled it off,
Yeah, if you're going to put a new tire on anyway, but if you just want to put a tube in it.
Sometimes it drives you nuts.
I've actually had really good luck just literally taking it off, putting it on the ground and stepping on it and using a big, bigger than this. I got a bigger one around somewhere, but just a big flat screwdriver. I got a snap-on kind of crowbar round that's kind of bent on one end.
Yep.
Like this. And just put real pressure on that with 1 foot, so it's kind of pushing down, and you just keep wiggling it in there, and and as soon as one little piece of that bead breaks free, the whole thing will just go and it just falls off.
But sometimes too, I'll go to my dealer. My dealer only charges $6 US to remove and replace and put the tube in.
Yeah.
As long as you buy the tube from him, and in that case, it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And I know a lot of guys will go to the local gas station. They have the Amco tire changing machine. It's got the pneumatic bead breaker. Takes them 3 seconds, but boom, give the guy $5 to get coffee. You're done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's it. We're coming up to an hour and a half. I think we're good. You got anything else to say, Kenny?
Just check out this guy's channel. That's all.
Check out this guy's channel.
Don't you love how left is right, right is left?
How do you do that on? Yeah,
I'm waiting for April's channel though. There's a guy I watch. His name is Watch West Work. He does work on cars and trucks out of his home in Iowa. His wife put out a channel called Wes's Wife. So I want to see Steve's wife. I want to see that channel.
I'll see if I can convince her. She's listening to every word you're saying right now. So,
and a lot of it on there, April, if you're listening, is like outtakes. So you're the editor, April. So you get all the outtakes, and you can put out a video each week.
All right. Well, I am going to say thank you to all the super chatters right now. I hope that we helped some of you guys answer some questions there. Thank you to the moderators, Hayes Machinery, Mix Mowers. Kenny was a moderator too. So yeah, all three of you, check their channels out when you get a chance. And we're going to try I can't next Sunday. I already know I can't because I'm doing something else, but maybe a couple more weeks we'll do this again. And, what do you think? I think we're done.
Yeah, I think it was a good deal. And like I said, anyone, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. I'll look at the comments after and during the week, and I could, email you or chat with you, and hopefully we'll help you out.
Yeah, that is a great point. As soon as this video is, the live broadcast is over, we're going to put it up as a normal video that you can go back to my channel and watch. Comment away on that, and exactly what Kenny said. We'll try to answer your questions on there too. That'd be cool if you could do that, Ken. Awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Good night, all. Be safe.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And what are we going to say? Steve and Ken out.